Welcome, dear students, to science class. Today we are going to begin the new lesson, chapter 10, respiration in organisms. Okay. So in this lesson we will more learn about how the respiration takes place in the organism. Every organism that has life respire. Is it? Without respiration or without respire, we cannot, or any organism cannot live. Why? Every organism needs energy to carry out its life process. So, every organism that has life needs energy in order to live, or in order to the life process, carry out all the life process. We walk, we run, is it? We write, talk, you now sit and listen to me, is it? So all these things we need energy. So from where we get this energy? We get this energy from food, what we eat, is it? Because sometime when we do some work, we become very tired, is it? Or drowsy, we feel so tired and we sit. So when we take something, a little of food, what happens? We regain our strength again. That means we get energy again to work, is it? So all living organisms need energy. Now, this organism also need oxygen or air in order to live, is it? Or for the breakdown of digested food to get energy. So this food and the respiration, okay, they are connected. How? The food will be broken down with the help of this oxygen only. Okay, so oxygen what we take, we respire, is it? That is used for the breakdown of digested food. The food what we have eaten will be digested or break down to get energy with the help of this oxygen. Okay, so respiration is a process of taking in oxygen, is it? When we take oxygen, when we during the breathing, what we do? We take the oxygen in, using it for the release of energy. So this oxygen is used for the release of energy by breakdown of food. The food that we have eaten will be break down with the help of this oxygen to release energy and removing the waste products, carbon dioxide and water, is it? So when we exhale out, what we release out, that is of carbon dioxide, and water that will be thrown as urine, which we, or as a sweat, is it? So this respiration is the process of taking in oxygen, and it is used for the breakdown of food to release energy or to get energy and remove the waste product such as carbon dioxide and water. Okay, so this respiration, or it involves in two steps. That is, first one is external respiration, or we can say breathing, and second one is internal respiration, or we can say cellular respiration. Okay. Now, we'll just learn about cells. So, this cells, food is a source of energy for the cells. So, for each cell need energy. So, for the cell to get energy, what would be the source? That is food, is it? So if you take about a small baby that is growing, is it? So this when it is small baby, and later on he grows and become a grown up child, is it? So how the cells in the baby gets food and get energy, function starts well, and slowly the baby will be growing, is it? Because of the energy, because of the food that he has taken up, or the breaking down of the food that gives energy to him. Okay, so food is a source of energy for the cell. Okay, and this energy will help in order to perform all its function in the body. So this energy that is given to each cell will help to perform all kinds of functions, like muscles that will help for the movement. Okay, that muscle cells gets energy. If the muscles does not have energy, it cannot function well. And if the kidney that is or nephron that is used for the filtration, is it, that function will not be able to do if there is no energy. Okay, digestion that also needs energy for the in order to perform its function. So all the energy is given, or the main source of energy, what is that in the body? That is mitochondria. You know, no, energy of the cell is the mitochondria. So in this mitochondria release, when mitochondria gets food and it produce energy. Okay, when you come back from the school, now you are not there going to the school, but when you were coming to the school and when you go back, you will be deadly tired, is it? So you tell mama, give me food, or you feel a tiredness or drowsy, is it? So as soon as you eat the food, what happens? You get energy again. You don't feel that laziness or that drowsiness. Okay, so the energy is released into the cells in order to function. Okay, so we can say that energy, the release of energy inside the cell. Okay, inside the cell, the energy is released with the help of food. When there is a food only, that energy will be released. Now, the breakdown of the food take place. So, in the cell, release of energy inside the cell with the help of food is called as the respiration. So, or we can say as cellular respiration. Okay, so inside the process of breaking down the food in the cells, it takes place in the cells. Okay, then it releases the energy. The food will be break down in the cells and the release of energy take place. So that is called as the cellular respiration. It take place inside the cell. Then the means in order to get the energy or release of energy is through the mitochondria. Now, this food is the ultimate source of energy, that you know. The food which we eat, that is the ultimate source, means the cells can get energy from the food only. Okay, so as all the function will be performed very well in the body. Alright, now we'll see that only here it is told. Okay, cellular respiration, what happens? The food break down and then release energy. Okay, the food may be glucose in the form of that, it breaks down, then we get the energy. Now there are two types of respiration. Okay, there are two types of respiration. That is, first one is cellular respiration is of two types. Okay, cellular respiration is of two types. It is there in your textbook. Okay, if you want, you can just go through on page 85. So the cellular respiration we can divide into two, that is aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. So aerobic respiration, and the second one is anaerobic respiration. So first we will learn about the aerobic respiration. So here the breakdown of food. So here is the food, that is glucose. Okay, in the presence of oxygen. Okay, they break down and form carbon dioxide and water, that is the waste product, and energy is released. Okay, so food, then the presence of oxygen break down, and then what happens? Carbon dioxide and water plus energy is formed. Okay, so this process take place in the presence of oxygen. Okay, aerobic respiration take place in the presence of oxygen. So it is called as aerobic respiration. Okay, the breakdown of food into carbon dioxide and water to release energy in the presence of oxygen. That is called aerobic respiration. Most of the living organisms carry out this type of respiration, aerobic respiration. Okay, so that's such an organism we can call as aerobes. Understood? Now we have anaerobic respiration. So what is this? Second one is anaerobic respiration. So since the aerobic respiration in the presence of oxygen, so anaerobic respiration, what would be? In the absence of oxygen. Okay, oxygen is not present here. Okay, if you see, you can understand the food. Okay, that break down here. There is no presence of oxygen. Okay, in the absence of oxygen, it take place. So that type of respiration, we can call it as anaerobic respiration. That means here the end product, the food will be break down here, and the end product will not be the water. It will not perform. Okay, it will be alcohol, then carbon dioxide. Okay, in the anaerobic respiration, it will produce alcohol plus carbon dioxide and then energy. Okay, anaerobic respiration, food will be break down glucose, food in the form of breakdown, then it will form alcohol, then carbon dioxide, then plus energy. So small amount, all the alcohol made in this, so those wine and kind of drinks is in, all are used, are made, alcohols are made in this way, or these are in the absence of oxygen it will take place. So this type of anaerobic respiration is we can see in some kind of yeast or some bacteria, etc. in this organism. Okay, so those organism which perform such respiration, we can call them as anaerobes. Okay, so this anaerobic respiration take place in the absence of oxygen, and the product will be alcohol, carbon dioxide and energy. Okay, now we are going to learn about, in your textbook there are anaerobic and aerobic respiration. The differences has been given in your textbook. You have to learn it. Okay, like parameters are there, that is presence of oxygen. Aerobic means it will take place in the presence of oxygen. Anaerobic means it will take place in the absence of oxygen. Then the second point is breakdown of food, that is complete breakdown of food take place in the aerobic respiration, whereas in the anaerobic respiration not a complete breakdown. Okay, now end product in the aerobic respiration will be carbon dioxide, water and energy, whereas in anaerobic respiration carbon dioxide and alcohol. Now the fourth one, that is amount of energy, that is amount of large energy is produced or released in the aerobic respiration, whereas in the anaerobic respiration a small amount of energy is produced. Okay, now we will see about respiration in muscles. Okay, muscle cells, how the respiration take place and which or what kind of respiration is present in the muscle cells. Okay, so in the muscle cells we have anaerobic respiration. So anaerobic respiration in the muscles, we shall see how it take place. So in a sports day or some time you run, in a competition time, in a when with your friends you make a competition who will run fast, is it? So when you run, sometimes what happens, a sudden pain you feel in your leg, is it? So why it happens like this? When you run, that taking the oxygen which you take, which you breathe is very fast and it is in the less. Okay, whereas in the normal position what happens, when we sit slow or when we walk, the oxygen, the amount of oxygen that get into your body is in a large amount. So normal way the function, the breakdown of the food take place, is it? Whereas when you run or when you jump or when you do something heavy work, so what happens when the breathing, the taking of oxygen amount will be less. So when the amount of oxygen will be less means this muscles, okay, so the amount of oxygen that you respire will be less. So what happens? The oxygen amount will be less in the muscle cells. Okay, so it cannot function properly. So there is a food present in your body, or in the body there is food. So this food has to be break down in order to get for you the energy. So if the oxygen is less, then it will not take place. The breakdown of the food will not take place. So what happens in the muscle cells? They shift, or they just change the mode of their respiration, as it is switch on to anaerobic respiration. Since the amount of oxygen that you receive is less, that you take is less, then it automatically turn to anaerobic respiration. In a normal way, it is aerobic respiration. That means in the presence of oxygen, the food release the energy in the muscle. Whereas when you run or when you jump or when you have such a heavy work, is it, which does not allow you to get enough oxygen. So the muscle cells, what happens, does not get enough oxygen. So it automatically will change into or switch on to anaerobic respiration. That means in the absence of respiration. So in the absence of oxygen, if the breakdown of the food take place, means what is then? Acid forms. Is it alcohol? Is it? So here also in the muscle cells, they produce lactic acid, since they are anaerobic respiration. Okay, so in the cells there will be lactic acid in a large amount will be accumulated, which cause you the pain because of the presence of lactic acid. Okay, because of there is no presence of oxygen, the enough amount of oxygen. So after some time, what happens when you are in a normal position, when you stop your competition and when you sit very quietly, automatically that pain disappear. Is it how? Then the cells started to get the oxygen. So in the normal way, the respiration begins. So the muscle cells will be turning to the aerobic respiration. Okay, I hope you understood. This only I told you. See, the glucose, that is food, is present in the muscle cells. So when there is no amount of oxygen, what happens? It break down into lactic acid, which causes you the pain, and then energy also produced. Okay, so remember, in the muscle cells, when there is no presence of oxygen only, they switch on to the anaerobic respiration. Okay, now we have got another topic, just as external respiration, that is taking in of air rich in oxygen into the body is called so external respiration or breathing. We normally breathe through our nose. If we close our nose, that is a very common this one, when we if we close our nostrils and mouth tightly, we start soon a kind of a discomfort. Okay, it means we cannot breathe for a long period. We cannot take oxygen. No, we will not be. So if the oxygen is cut off from our body, means we all will die. Is it? So the taking in of air rich in oxygen into the body is called inhalation. That means taking oxygen into our body. Then when we release carbon dioxide outside of the body, or giving out the carbon dioxide outside of the body, that is called exhalation. So inhalation and exhalation. Okay, now there is a breathing rate, another topic, that is The number of times a person breathes in a minute is called breathing rate. The number of times which how we breathe when we go to some hospital or they just check the pulse rate, is it? So the number of times a person breathes in a minute is called breathing rate. So average human adult being at rest breathes around 15 to 18 times in a minute. Say in a minute 15 to 18 times we breathe. Okay. So what you have to do is you have to go through this topic, the first topic of the lesson, and understand it. Okay. Thank you.